What the hell? All right, welcome to episode 192 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and I can't speak because apparently I'm just too confused of what in the world Steven's doing. So, yeah, speaking of which, Steven's once again joining me this week.
Hi.
And Chris.
Hello.
You can't see him, but he's there. It's a little creepy. All right, so let me set that stuff down. Oh, man. Most of this week, we're going to be talking about New York City Comic-Con announcements, mostly focusing on some of the movies and shows being talked about, some of the comic stuff, some toys, weird things of Amazon, a few different stories tying into AI and used in terrible ways, as AI is, and also a Nintendo breach that may have occurred recently.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, it seems kind of legit, but not as bad as people says, but we'll get into it. All right. Starting us off, we will jump into what we've been doing. And Chris, we haven't talked to you in a while. What you been doing, man?
Well, I finished 3 out of the UFO 50 games. They're all pretty fun. They're, as I mentioned last time, they're all kind of homages to different NES games.
Mm-hmm.
So I beat the one that's mostly like Section Z, and another one that's kind of like, I guess, Pac-Man-ish, and another one that's an idle game, which is weird to see an NES version of.
An idle game?
Aside from that, I also saw the pilot for Knights of Guinevere, which is basically a capitalist hellscape Disney fairy tale cross thing, and it's very well done. It's actually either animated, produced, or both by the creator of Owl House. So
Okay.
if anyone knows about, Disney and capitalism, it's them. And apparently the really gross, dark sci-fi atmosphere of that pilot was what they wanted to do, but Disney forbade them. So now they're actually doing what they wanted to do now that they're not part of it anymore.
Nice.
Okay.
And aside from that, I also finished a game called Komodo Tea Time, which
sounds sweet.
it looked like a really cute, fun, and relaxing visual novel. And it is, except it has one of the saddest endings I have ever experienced.
Oh, no.
I'm not going to spoil things, but
Good.
when they say it's only open for a certain amount of time, they mean it. So, yeah. If you find that game, be sure to read all of the warnings. It is, yeah.
Oh, God. What'd you play it on?
I played it on Switch. It was on sale, and it's a beautiful game. It's very, nice voice acting for the little bit of voice acting. There is amazing pixel work, and it even comes with an art book, but it is not nearly the relaxing time I thought it would be. But yes, aside from that, it's a lovely game.
Okay. Steven, what about you? What you been doing?
Well, I've, to nobody's surprise, I've been playing a small game called ZZZ.
I need to just make an intro music for that and just give you a section because that's what it's going to be.
After spending another $40 to $50, I got my character.
Oh my God.
And now there's 2 more coming, and I'm like, please give me the luck of the odds, please. Now
I can't say much. I've found a hobby more expensive than that.
Now they have what do you call it? They had an update. So now when you're doing the polls, it tells you like your chances, and it said like, if you have the worst luck in the entire world, this is how much it'll cost you to get her. And I'm like, that's $400. It didn't cost $400. Okay. But so that was good. Still going through Shinobi. The game is so mean, so unkind.
I want to pick that one up. I just haven't gotten it yet.
I want you to do so much, but I'm like, no, I'm unlocking everything I can in this. There's so much backtracking once you get new abilities, but it's a lot of fun. And then I picked up a few more games digitally, which were Unmetal and Absalom, which I watched some streamers play, and I'm interested in that one.
Is it Absalom? I thought it was Absolum.
Whatever.
Well, I'm just curious.
Tomogochi, yeah. What would it be like? Whatever you want.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. And then I did show Chris a new game coming out, but I want to see how it plays. It's called Kaiju Cleanup Simulator. So You basically are cleaners that go to a scene of where two kaijus fought and one lost, and you need to basically rip apart the carcass chunk by chunk, melt all the bones and everything else, and basically just clean it up so that the city can go back to normal. And I was just like, now that's Power Wash to a new level.
And this is a full 3D game, or is it just?
Yeah,
God.
You can wishlist it on Steam right now, but the trailers have been awesome. It's just Kaiju Cleanup Simulator.
I will have to look into that. That's crazy. All right, so for me, a lot of this week has been Transformers stuff because finally, as I hinted at the opening here, I have finally finished my Transformers 86, the movie combiner set for Devastator, which took me a while to get all 6 of these, but I'm shocked at how well this thing is made. Like, it's very solid, very posable. It can balance even on one foot, so you can do the scene where it's kicking a Dinobot in the stomach. Like, it can actually hold that pose.
Jinkies.
He is shorter than the Combiner Wars version by a good bit, probably by like that. But, and I've got pictures up on, I think I put them up on the Instagram, but I posted them on our Discord for sure. While he is smaller, it is a better made and I think better scaled to the rest of the series. Because the other thing I got recently, or actually yesterday that showed up, I was waiting for one of my Transformers, talking to some friends at GameStop, and they were doing shipping. And immediately, as soon as they pulled the box for this, I was like, nope, I'm buying it right now. And it is Snarl and Slug, the G2 versions of the Dinobots. And these are the same molds that they did for the 86 movie, which you can see how big they are. And this is actually, like I said, to scale for those. So for a Dinobot, that's how tall they are. And as the actual dinosaur itself, it's about the right size of when they were fighting Devastator. So they're huge, but that's kind of how they have to be, which is kind of really nice. And they do tower over Prime and Megatron and all the other ones. Right before the show, I got a text from a friend of mine up there at the store that my order for my 86, the movie series, Ultra Magnus, finally came in. I've been waiting over a year for this. And it's there. I've already paid it off. I just have to go get it. So I didn't want to cancel the show, even though I was momentarily tempted. I will go get it tomorrow. My wife and I on every Sunday go out to our lunch date that we do every week, and we'll swing by there and pick it up while we're out. So that'll be 4 major Transformers that I've gotten this week, which is crazy. I finally rolled credits on Chibi Robo, which I loved playing it off and on back in the day on the GameCube, but I never got into it enough to finish it. Like, I would just do a bunch of stuff and then kind of either somebody would erase my memory card or I'd get bored and start over. But I actually finished it when it was on the Nintendo Switch 2. And damn it, it was actually a lot of fun. Once you finish the story, you can go back and continue doing the rest of the stuff. So now I'm kind of working my way through finishing everything. There's kind of an achievement system with stickers. So if you can fill in the stickers, you finish out each of the story bits, which is kind of fun. I really, really want another one of these. Like, I would love to have a whole house rendered out, like with what the Switch 2 actually could do for all the details, more rooms, further outside or things you can explore. I think it would be a lot of fun. Show-wise, I finished season 2 of Peacemaker last night, and that was a unique ending, to say the least. It's one of those shows that does not end on a happy note, which was shocking. I will not spoil anything for it, but they do say this leads directly into the Superman Man of Tomorrow and for a lot of the other DCU movies and shows. But James Gunn did say there will not be a season 3 of the show. So where this ends is that, and then they're kind of disseminating to the rest of the series.
They fixed his Fortnite taunt. He now
Yeah, when they were like, the dance is a little too close to things we don't want to mention on here. So look up that, or just watch the series and you'll get it. So I did start playing a demo on my Steam Deck here recently called House of Necrosis. This is like a rhythm-based Resident Evil. Where
I saw a trailer for that.
It's fun. When I was playing it, I couldn't have the volume up, and I have a feeling that would kind of be a little bit better, and I want to continue playing it later, but every time you move, everyone else can move. So it's very much like Crypt of the Necrodancer and stuff like that, where you're timing your movements. And that also counts for like when you shoot. You can aim down hallways. You can use your knife to attack. Take meds, mix up plants. Like it's Resident Evil very through and through, and graphically looks like the original Resident Evil, which is kind of cool. It's a 3D kind of overhead view as you're going through the mansions. And I think it generates the different levels, so not all of them are going to be the
It
same.
reminded me a little bit of like Battle Network.
Yeah, I was enjoying it. I think it's like $10 right now, so I think I'm going to end up picking it up. But definitely give it a shot. It works really, really well on a Steam Deck. And I think with the controls, I could probably just play it on my laptop with a keyboard just to have fun with it. So if I do get it, it might be one of those games I just keep on there for when I just have a few minutes to goof off. I can play it. So. All right, so that's pretty much wrapped up most of the stuff we've got doing for now. So we'll jump into the group chat this week, which I just realized I may have messed up by talking about the other stuff I had, but you guys can talk about your things.
I still have pickups.
Yeah. I got so excited for Transformers, I just started talking about them. I was so excited. All right, well, Steven, what pickups have you gotten that you can still talk about?
Well, Target finally came out with the whole series of the Genesis Sega games dioramas.
Mm-hmm.
I have them too far away right now, but it's basically Sonic 2, Sonic
It's never stopped
3,
you.
Altered Beast, and Super Street Fighter 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a bigger set for 50, which is the Genesis itself, that opens up and it's Eggman versus Sonic, and it comes with a Sonic the Hedgehog 1 cartridge.
Oh, okay.
And they're really cool looking because you basically do a double take walking down the toy, not the toy aisle, but the electronics aisles where they're putting them. And you're just like, wait a minute, is that a Genesis? You're like, oh no, it's a diorama. I ordered more from Polymega, and
oh, nice.
I got these are volumes. There's Adventure. Adventure comes with like all the sword quests and a bunch of other Atari ones like Dark Chambers, Haunted House, Lost Tomb. It's an Atari collection. I got the Tempest one that basically gives you Berserk, Tempest, iRobot, Tempest 2000. So it's like all these like collection of, you can call them legally obtained ROMs now. Astyonics, however you say that. This one actually comes with Totally Rad and Pinball Quest and Soul Divide, so I'm actually excited for that.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to get that just because of my pinball collection.
And then this one is Sengoku Blade, and this one just basically has Saint Dragon, Wampum, another Sengoku Blade, Dragon Blaze, and then unannounced, and they didn't tell me about it. So I maybe I'll go back and check how it works. They sent me a version 1.1 of one of the Neo Geo CDs that I had already installed to the system for Breakers, which is a fighting game. And I was just like, you guys didn't tell me about this.
Okay.
And lastly, I've joined the ranks with Chase. I have purchased a PSVR 2.
How much was that?
It was $180.
Really?
And it was the Horizon bundle, so I have the Horizon game too.
Where the hell did you get that?
Amazon was doing a refurbished sale where it was an extra 35 or more percent off anything that was refurbished. So I was just like, excuse me? So how much is this? And it was like 180. And I was just like you with the Transformers out of the box. I was like, for the bundle, I was like, I'll take it because I at least have a game to play right away, which is the Horizon game.
Damn, I would have ordered
the
that.
The box came a little beat up. Duh, it's refurbished. Everything is immaculately clean except for like a little bit of dust. And the USB cable is missing, but I have like thousands of those. And you only use the USB cable to charge, and it's like this big to charge the USB controllers and to sync them up with the system for the first time.
So you probably got a better one anyway, somewhere around.
Yeah, I have one that I used from my Switch to my PS5 controllers anyway. So it's like everything just works with it happy. So now I'm gonna just be looking for like any PSVR 2 games that I've been missing out on. I think there was a couple. I know the big one is Moss 2 for me. So I'll be looking for that.
I think most of them are digital only. There's a handful of physical releases, but they're kind of sparse.
Yeah, I think Moss 2 is physical, but some of the other ones, might be sparse. But since most of those they don't know what to do with them, they might be lower in price or have a good sale. But yeah, that's what I got. Now I'm
Okay.
waiting next week to get my nondescript MVC2 Juggernaut on Monday.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that guy. That thing's got to be huge. Just I've been tempted about because I keep seeing the Silver Samurai and Wolverine set at GameStop, and I'm really tempted, but it's like $65, which is just like for Transformers. Yes, I just said I picked up these guys for like $100
Yeah.
without question, but I think Transformers is one of those series that I will do that. Like that is my go-to. If I see it, I don't care. I'm buying it. I don't
Yeah,
want
and
to think about how much I've spent on these.
the problem with the Hasbro Gamerverse is um they have like all these Spider-Man ones, and you're just like, well, is it just from the PlayStation game? Because they don't really give you too much information other than that. They just say
Yeah.
Gamerverse, and you're supposed to guess. These at least give you some nice pixelated artwork on the sides, and they give you fighting each other on the back.
Mm-hmm.
There are other versions that are sold, like there's a Spider-Man and a Cyclops, but those are $100 a piece, and those are made overseas, so they're bigger and they are more articulate. I'm like, I
Yeah.
just wanted these displayed ones, and I'm just endlessly looking for the Target one because it's exclusive.
Keeping an eye out for it if I can find it, but because that's the Thanos and Psylocke, and good luck.
Yeah, and I'm so mad that sometimes when you go on social media, you have that one guy who's just like, I'm here in Minnesota, and there's like 6 of them. I'm like, dude.
What drives me nuts is the people that get away with like I bought like they're showing like a bed with like 50 of them just laying out there and like I bought all these. And it's like, you son of a bitch. Like you're part of the problem, man. Actually, there was a few things I did not show of my pin collection for pins I picked up. I got this Wind Waker version of Link and Zelda recently at GameStop. It's about $15, which I've still got to hang up my whole pin set from there. But this one I showed Chris earlier and was one I knew he loves because he's a big D&D guy. I got this from my local comic book store, and that is just a D20 skull. But I love the design of it. What'd you say, Chris?
It's pretty neat.
It is, generic. My general Mario one, I get a lot of the Nintendo ones as I go along. And the other basic D&D one, of course, they're all D20s, sword and shield and stuff like that. Generic, but not too bad. And that'll go with some of the other pins I have. Like I have the little ANDS symbol done up in metal as a pin from D&D and a bunch of other ones. So I've kind of, one of the groupings in there is that. There's a bunch of them I want to pick up from Target that I've seen that are PlayStation ones where they've got like Astrobot and God of War and a few other things.
Helldivers.
Yeah, Helldivers did one.
I picked up Helldivers because, Super Earth.
Right. I'm going to get them eventually. They're not as bad of a price. Some of those have gotten expensive. I was hoping to get back into collecting cards, which I did pick up some of the Street Fighter Amiibo cards. I did finally find the booster packs. GameStop had 2 packs. I bought both of them.
6 into 38. Yeah.
Yeah. And thankfully it's, that 38 is not 38 cards. It seems to continue from the initial 28. Because I looked and they're still numbered from 1 to 28 with the original box set you buy, and then 29 to whatever they have afterwards is the new
it's
ones.
harder now. So that means it's even harder to get the additional 10.
Yeah, because I started paging them, and they starting off with one with Luke, and then kind of goes from there on the others. But it separates out for the other guys I've gotten: Cammy, JP, Ingrid, things like that. I got to get a better book for these, but they're in there. But have you seen the cost of like just general cards? Like I know Pokemon and Magic were already ridiculous, but some of these have gotten just stupid. There's a Marvel set that's got 32 cards in it that is almost $400 for this box. And I was like, what is going on? Because it used to be like $100. You could buy a box that would pretty much guarantee you a set, maybe some specials and some doubles. Because you're basically buying what we call a case.
Yeah.
And they pulled out one that was a Spider-Man set, small box, about yay big, for the Magic one. I shit you not, was
Magic.
$500.
That's because it's Magic.
$500. I could buy a console, except for an Xbox. They made them more expensive, but a console for that much. That's more than a freaking Switch 2. Like with Mario Kart, it's more than that. So, like, that is some expensive cardboard, and it has gotten ridiculous. Because I really just want to collect. Like, I loved collecting the Marvel and DC comic book cards. I have books of them from
Good
decades
luck
worth of
trying to get the
collecting.
Spider-Man Magic the Gathering.
I'm not even, if it says Magic, I don't even bother. I didn't even get the Ghostbusters set because someone's like, oh, I could
I made
order that.
sure once somebody said because I have that display I showed a few episodes back.
Mm-hmm.
Once the Final Fantasy one, they said that if you buy it for that specific game, the Commander deck, you do get the entire party at least. So you get other cards, but there is at least a card for everybody, every character you play as in the game. And I was like, that's all I needed.
Yeah, I think they've lost the plot on this because, like, it used to be they didn't cost that much, but they were blind bag, basically. You'd buy a pack and hope you got so many cards in it and try and work your way up. Or you could spend more and get an entire set and know you're getting them all. Well, now they're charging you more than that, and you still don't even know what you're getting. So you could spend literally hundreds of dollars or more than you need to, and you're still getting doubles and not getting what you're looking for. And it's just, it is pure
corporate greed.
Can't. Oh God, I'm so mad. I miss collecting cards.
There's a guy on, funnily enough, who gets a lot of views on his streams because he's a Pokemon collector, obviously, of the cards.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes he'll buy like one of the older packs, and he takes a chance. So he at least tries to recoup it by having a stream where he has like these girls sing, "Should I open it or should I keep it sealed?"
Yeah, and I've watched this stuff. It's actually pretty funny. I've kind of thought about that. I have a couple cards I've got over here of like packs I've collected over the years that are like old Star Trek cards that have never been opened, or I've got like 6 original Nintendo card sets that I've never opened. We're talking so old they have like the wax paper with like Princess Peach on them.
These amazing apps now that while you're putting a card into like a box, it'll scan it because you have your phone on like a stand and it's
Yeah.
like, scan it. I was like, that's cool.
So it's just, I think they've taken the fun out of collecting these things, which I feel really bad for the kids because I used to, like, yeah, I would skip lunch for certain days and just like save up my lunch money, tell my parents I ate, but I didn't. And then I'd run across the street on occasion. There was a comic book store right across from a middle school. And I would go buy like Marvel Universe cards and stuff like that with the money that I saved up. And I would collect them. And I still have a lot of these cards all these years later. And like kids can't afford to do that because they're just priced out of it, or they're just stuck out of it because they've got these adults just sitting there constantly scalping every time the releases come out and trying, like every time I go into GameStop, they're asking, like trying to push the number of how many can we buy? I'll buy everything you've got. And they're like, there's a limit, and they get upset.
You know how there's like faith in humanity, right? So
no,
yeah, there is.
I'm not seeing it.
If you want something to warm your heart, look up a guy called Beard Dad Cards.
Uh-huh.
And he does all the collector conventions because he does like Pokemon stuff. But people will donate binders to him. They'll donate what do you call it? They'll donate cards they don't want that they want him to give out to kids, and that's what he does. And he always live streams. So sometimes when somebody comes up to his table, his chat is actually saying like, I want that kid to get the card he wants. So they start donating money. So he's just like, your card's paid for, dude. What card do you want? It's like so heartwarming because like he's always got a huge line because he knows it's like they'll probably get something from him. And he's even given out those Labubu things. He's just like, I got one if you want to see what you get and stuff. But he's so cool. I was just like, okay, he's the bright star in the world of collecting.
I've tried, like I've got all the doubles from a lot of my sets. Like if kids want them, I've given them to them for stuff like that, but I haven't gone to that length. That's awesome. But there's like the cards you sent me like a while back. I pulled out like a lot of the ones I wanted to kind of finish off some of my sets or ones I didn't have to add in there. But I've still had people like, oh yeah, I love this particular character. And I'll go through and I'll pull like all the ones of Nightcrawler for a friend of mine. And I'll get every version of him I can find that are doubles from all my cards and be like, here you go. I've got these extras, or I've got extras of like hologram ones of like Gambit and Thanos and all these other characters from, Marvel and DC and stuff. and I'll just put them in a little sleeve and give them out to people.
Nice.
Because that's the fun of it, is for people to get them and enjoy it. But it's gotten to the point that even if they get into it and they want to collect these, it's just out of reach realistically. Like, who can drop $500 on a box of cards? Like,
Yeah,
that is insane.
Here it doesn't seem to be that crazy, but the sports ones are nuts.
Sports ones are nuts, but like I said, I
watched
saw
people at Target just take all the box, like ones that have like only a few cards in there that you don't know what you're getting, and he's like, I think these should be enough. And I'm like, that's fine. I don't think you're really taking that away from kids, because usually that stuff is not moving as fast as it should.
like one of them I saw was like Marvel Masterpiece is a series I've always really enjoyed. That was the 1992 set that Marvel put out, I think. And I saw a small box that they had up there at the store that was, I guess, reissues. They're new versions of those cards, same art, but maybe they're framed a little differently, or they've got a special sheen to them or whatever. But this small box only had a handful of cards. It wasn't a crazy amount, but it was like almost $400. Because I was like, oh man, I would love to get that. And then I saw the price and went, never mind. I cannot legitimately afford that. And I collect video games and Transformers, and this is too expensive. That is not right. Normally, my collecting should have been the ridiculous stuff. But I'm like, I can't hold a candle to these people buying printed cardboard. Like, oh man. All right, let's jump into the news now that we've had our rant about corporate greed and the cost of card collecting. That's gonna make for some great shorts that we're gonna get yelled at a lot. All right, so Amazon, because we can always trust what Amazon does. They recently got the license and rights to the James Bond series. Well, all of a sudden, they were caught using AI, removing all of the guns and even the Bond girls from the movie posters of all the 007 movies. Every poster that showed Bond or others with weapons have had them removed, like digitally just cropped, or they cropped out the picture, like with Daniel Craig with one of his holding the gun. They just kind of moved it over to take his entire arm off, which got rid of the gun. Or the Roger Moore ones, or even Sean Connery, like the iconic Dr. No poster with Connery holding the gun, the Walter PP7, I think, PPK. Like this, they just removed it and it just looks like he's got his hand there, weirdly. But one of the other ones, like Roger Moore's, have you ever seen the poster for Moonraker from 1979? Normally that had Roger Moore holding the gun, and you had the other women around him in spacesuits. They removed the gun, but they also removed the women, like digitally removed them and replaced it with screens from the movie that they then went into those and removed all the guns from like the villains and things. And this is not a good thing in regards to that these people now have the rights to make this continued series. I have very little faith on the next James Bond film, which Amazon is in production for, that being directed by Denis Villeneuve, who did Arrival and Dune. Say what?
I said, sure, Villeneuve.
I'm going to go with that. We don't know who's playing Bond yet, but I don't know. What do you guys think about this, of trying to kind of take something as iconic as James Bond and removing
two
guns
things
and
of note.
women?
They did this on James Bond Day.
Oh my God.
Which was October 5th. So that was great. And this is one of those things where fan backlash works. So they removed all the posters and they eventually re-released them, restored back to their original.
But just the fact that they were willing, like, what were they thinking of doing that?
That's what I want to know. I want to know if anybody asked them what the reasoning was.
I don't know if Amazon would actually give us a response is the problem.
But that is a perfect thing to ask.
Yeah, agreed. Someone just needs to get the balls to ask them. Actually do it,
It's just weird because it just makes people like, if you want to garner excitement, don't change something like that.
I mean, that's like every James Bond, that gun is iconic. It was always the one that was being used. It makes reference to it and so forth. And you've always got the Bond girls and things like that. And it feels so weird to try and scrub that out of the history of it. That's almost like if they just tried to make him not British. Like, it's not James Bond at that point. It's just kind of weird how they do it. And they can recast and do stuff like that but it's still going to be a British agency, even if they go the route that people have, talked about of like using 007 as like a code name or something that gets passed down the line. That's fine, but that gun, the women, the Britishness of it all, it should be part of James Bond. That's how it was created. That's how it was made. And I'm very concerned at Amazon having control over this because they are just screwing it up already. But good on them for at least backing down when they got yelled at. But I think they only did it because they were worried about the money, or they were trying to see what they could get away with.
Because there's a game coming out and everything. So they're like, we better reverse all this.
Yeah, because I think even the game's art shows the gun. Like, what the hell was the point? So
just make everybody happy and just say Seth Rogen is the next 007.
God, no. Anyways, all right, let's move on to some AI bullshit. So, you guys ever heard of a printing company or on-demand printing company called Spreadshirt?
No.
Well, they recently told its users that they will start allowing customers to modify their artist designs using AI in whatever ways they want. So, Chris, I know you're an artist. If you made a design and you're selling it as a shirt on this website, you would have gotten a letter from them saying, hey, we're going to let our customers go in, take your design, modify it using AI prompts, however they want, whether you intend for it to be that way or not. And it is an automatic opt-in. And if you want to opt out, the only way you can do that is you have to completely delete your profile and leave the site.
That's cool. As soon as I saw that on Blue Sky, I was just like, well, now I know what not to be a part of.
So, when it says allowing customers, does it mean just for them, or can they then resell the shirt?
I think they're basically saying, like, if you make art, like say I sold a shirt of the Zenspath Entertainment Network logo on their site.
I bought it.
But then you could take it and use AI and say, like, this group supports whatever horrible thing you want, and it's generated, and then they would allow you to have that and buy it and use it, whether I agreed with it or not.
I could buy the Zenspath logo and say, what if it had breasts, and then put that on a shirt, but I can't sell it, the new design, right? It's just
you could buy it and then sell it yourself if you wanted to. Like, people could get these designs and then sell it at a convention or do whatever. Because at that point, you have no control over it.
Yeah, that's what I'm more worried about. Because it's one thing, as bad as it is, to allow like just a customer to do it. But if the customer can then just claim it's theirs since they directed AI to do something, you don't call them artists, you call them directors. They directed the AI to change it, and then resell it. It's like, then you have a problem.
I imagine in order to resell it, they'd actually have to sign on as an artist. It would probably be a lot more difficult than just making the adjustment. You know what I mean? They'd probably have to sign on and then put it up as a new piece.
Yeah, because I'm starting to see galleries that in order to post in there, you have to be vetted and they check all your stuff.
Good.
Yeah, the whole worry, like I said, is just taking the design, modifying it outside of your control. And then, yeah, they could buy as many as they want of that, keep modifying it however they want, and then sell those somewhere else. Like, they probably can't go onto Spreadshirt and sell them. I don't think they'll be able to just upload it as their own design.
That just reminds me of that game store that I went to. I don't know if Chris was with me or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was my wife. And we went in, and it was just like, it looked like a startup. He didn't have a lot of games just yet. And we saw that he's like, I make t-shirts. I'm like, okay. And I'm flipping through, and I'm looking at these obviously art assets from games. And he's just like, yeah, man, whatever. If I can Google it, you can get it on a shirt. And I was like, yeah.
Oh,
no.
I was like, I'm out. He's just like, any Google image, I can make into a shirt for you. And I was like, no, thank you.
Because like even your shirt, like you're wearing a Splatoon, the Zelda shirt, I can tell from the design. If that was a design that they were making and selling on there, someone could take that and change whatever the picture design is or the colors and things like that, which I'm sure if you were allowed to opt in or control what was being made, some people are probably fine with it. Like if you had a shirt with a design and then they could AI add their name in some way, some people might be fine with that because that might be the intent, to customize it like a, whatever kind of shirt. But if you don't get a say in that and they can do whatever they want with it, because there doesn't seem to be any rules with it either, that's what worries me. And then the fact of like, if you want out, you have to just take all your stuff and leave. And like, that's really shitty. AI is the bane of any kind of creativity. And we will talk about it more this episode and hate on it a lot because that's what we do. All right. So speaking of AI, Marvel and DC Comics both made declarations in the recent New York City Comic-Con stating that they are against the use of AI for their comics. Marvel editor-in-chief C.B. Cebulski and DC president Jim Lee both spoke out on the use of AI as a concern for removing the humanity from comics. Lee himself laying the line that as long as he was running things at DC, it would not support AI-generated writing or artwork. Sadly, some, like Marvel senior editor Tom Brevoort, suggested that Marvel's stance could change over time. So hopefully he's just kind of an outlier. But the quote that I liked, this is a longer one, but this is what DC President Jim Lee actually said when he was asked about this during their keynote. He said, quote, "Because what we do and why we do it is rooted in our humanity. It's that fragile, beautiful connection between imagination and emotion that fuels our media, the stuff that makes our universe come alive. It's the imperfect mind, the creative risk, the hand-drawn gestures that no algorithm can replicate. And when I draw, I make mistakes, a lot of them, but that's the point. The smudge, the rough line, the hesitation, that's me in the work. That's my journey. That's what makes it come alive. It's the product of true effort, of inspiration and perspiration. Fans know this. They sense this. They can feel when something was made with care, when it cost the artist time, energy, heart, and effort. People have an instinctive reaction to what feels authentic. We recoil from what feels fake. That's why human creativity matters. AI doesn't dream it. It doesn't feel it. It doesn't make art. It aggregates it. Our job as creators, as storytellers, and as publishers is to make people feel something real. That's why we create, and that's why we are still here." Which I think is a really good way of putting that. I have enjoyed Jim Lee's artwork for decades now. He was one of my favorite artists on Batman during the Hush series, along with him and the inker Scott Williams. Did an absolutely fantastic job with a lot of that stuff and really solidified one of my favorite art styles of Batman. Go ahead, Steven.
As a addition to that, do you like George Miller, the guy who did the Mad Max movies?
I know of him. I think I
So
heard.
he's decided to join the Omni AI Film Festival as a judge. As he said, "The wave is coming and it's impossible to stop it. Our only option is to surf on it." Then he said, "AI is arguably the most dynamically evolving tool in making moving image. AI is here to stay and change things." He joined this judging panel out of intense curiosity about the evolving role of AI in storytelling. His interest goes beyond the technology he believes is part of a deeper philosophical shift in our understanding of creative authorship. It's the balance between human creativity and machine capability. It's what the debate and the anxiety is about. It strikes me how this debate echoes earlier moments in art history. It's like the Renaissance, when the introduction of oil paint gave artists the freedom to revise and enhance their work over time.
It's like saying a Xerox machine is a painter because it could copy the Mona Lisa on it, even though it's a shitty rendition on paper. Like, AI is not art. I don't care what people say. You're typing it in and the computer is regurgitating what it knows of, but it's not
Because I don't
creating
think he
anything new.
knows what it does, because the way he spoke, it sounds like he's the one using AI to fix something he's doing, not other people are going to take your stuff and take credit for it. So it's like,
Yeah, AI can be used in closed spaces between,
Mhm.
if an artist is using AI of his other work in a closed situation, that's fine. There are good ways of using this technology, but prompt mongers are not it. So, You know, it's a debate that's going to go on for a while. One thing I don't like is everybody going, well, it's already here, you can't stop it. It's not a behemoth, guys.
We stopped
You have a
NFTs.
choice.
Yeah, NFTs have died out, thankfully. I'm just waiting for AI, that bubble to burst.
I think that's why there's this air of desperation. Everybody saying, it's already here, you can't stop it, it's the new thing. Everyone's hoping you'll say yes, but everyone is saying no.
Yeah, we used to have lead and gas because, hey, that's here, you can't stop it. And oh, we don't do that anymore because it was causing harm. Things can change.
I miss lawn darts
Only because lawn darts missed you.
and mercury in our thermostats. Come on, bring it back.
I like not dying from things. I think I'll stick with that. So, yeah, but we have some other New York City Comic Con show and movie highlights. So let's go ahead and jump into that as well. All right, so starting off, Vision Quest from Marvel will be coming out in 2026 and will feature the White Vision with all of the original memories, but a struggle to connect with the emotions associated with it. What I really thought was interesting is that there will be appearances in human forms of Ultron, Friday, Edith, Dumb E, and Jarvis. Go ahead, Steven.
And James Spader has confirmed he is reprising Ultron.
Yep. But I guess we'll get to see James Spader as himself, because I guess this is all in Vision's head being...
Isn't that just Blacklist?
Pretty much. Good show, by the way. I don't know. I'm curious to see what it is, and they're saying this is kind of the end of the trilogy between him and Scarlet Witch. With WandaVision kind of being part of that. Then you had Multiverse of Madness. And then now, this part of it kind of tying it in with the rest of it. It's definitely a different take, but I want to see where it goes and kind of see if they can give it a good conclusion from there. But who knows? Next up, we had Daredevil Born Again Season 2 arriving March 2026, which footage was shown, but we haven't seen it yet, which a lot of these trailers had not been publicly released yet. Hopefully we'll soon, or we'll get leaks. We do know Jessica Jones apparently shows up in it. So that's more of the Defenders kind of showing up in this, because they did somewhat make the old shows canon, kind of tying them in a little bit in certain ways. So it's nice to bring those in. I want to see eventually if we get Luke Cage back somehow, but no mention of that yet. So who knows? X-Men 97 Season 2 arrives summer of 2026. This one will feature different X-Men trapped across the timelines, with Bishop trying to go and save them all. So he'll be jumping around. We get Apocalypse returning, which was always a great villain to have in the old X-Men cartoons. And he was teased at the end of the first season of X-Men 97 when they went back to Egypt, and you see him, Vaban Sur, I think was his name, coming out. I
encourage everybody to watch Season 1, because Season 2 sounds like they're not answering the most important fucking question, but we'll see.
What question is that?
I can't say it because
you have to message me and tell me which one
it's
you're
like
talking
Kimono and Tea Time.
We do know we'll get to see one of the characters is a teenage rule for them for their... I'm blanking on the name all of a sudden. I've got Cyborg listed down, but that's not the actual name. Cable. God damn it. Why did I have Cyborg on there? I was jumping back and forth between Marvel and DC when I was typing the notes. I was like, I know that's not the right name. It's Cable. So yeah, Nathan Summers. Yeah. Well, that got awkward. That'll be a terrible clip that will never get shown. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2 arrives fall of 2026. This one hints that Venom will appear, as well as because he was teased in the first season as the alien involved in the whole loop there, which was kind of a cool way to do it, along with Daredevil's return, which I believe he was voiced by Charlie Cox at the time, so he'll probably come back and do that again. Did you guys ever watch the first season of that?
I did not.
I didn't like the art style.
It's good. You should watch it. It's actually really good. I liked it. Is kind of like an offset of the normal timeline, where instead of Tony Stark, you've got Norman Osborn, and Peter's got more of like a home design for a lot of his stuff. Like his web shooters have got like a bigger tank he's carrying in the earlier parts that actually have tubes going to it. And it's kind of more believable of a homemade suit and design. that I thought worked out pretty well. So
Chris knows how I treat a series if I don't like the artwork.
Unfairly.
I liked how it looked. The animation and the art style was based on the early 60s design of Spider-Man. And I think they did a really good job of conveying that and kind of bringing it over to that art style.
That just keeps the tradition alive that I hate everything you love.
That's gotten a
guess
bit
the
annoying
best-
today after earlier comments. Like it's getting to a point it's getting like you're doing that on purpose. It feels like
I'm not actually. It's just what you
It's-
hated something of mine too.
what? Like to that extent. Like it's
I can't. I don't.
it's gotten to
make
the
this
point like
up.
I've stopped mentioning certain things just to keep it from being brought up. Like what the
I'm
hell?
not making it up either. You can ask Chris. These are all like.
I have a term for this. He gets studio triggered.
Okay, that's a new one.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we had Lanterns from DC. Will be the next DCU project and release early 2026. We have yet to see kind of what the storyline for this is going to be beyond a little bit of the casting. But I'm looking forward to see how they pull it off. I believe Guy Gardner is supposed to show up in it just because he is a Lantern. And I just want to see more of Nathan Fillion with that damn bowl cut because he was such an asshole in the best way. Like that is so Guy Gardner of how he's supposed to be. So hopefully that'll go. We might see some more stuff after Peacemaker tied into this as well, because it's supposed to kind of carry on until the other series. So I guess this will be the first one to show what we're getting before the next movies.
The next thing I'm looking forward to is this one.
Yeah, I am hesitant on this one here. Batman Knightfall Part 1 releasing in 2026. So the first part of the story where Bane sets up Batman to face an Arkham Asylum filled with most of Batman's rogues, just to then face him exhausted and proceeds to break his back, which was a great issue back in the day. I still have multiple versions of it because I got the collector's edition, the standard edition, the newsstand edition, things like that. This will likely be the story covered under the first part. I think we'll see Bane setting it up, releasing all the people in Arkham, Batman going through the fight, getting exhausted. It'll end on, Bane beating his ass in the cave and breaking his back. I think that's where the first story is
I really
going
want
to
to
end.
see who they cast too.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that too. Part 2, which has no release window, will likely follow Bruce picking Azrael, Jean-Paul Valley, to replace him over Dick Grayson, which is a whole argument there. But after Jean-Paul starts killing people, Bruce has to work on taking the mantle back, as he tries to heal his broken back and kind of work through it. I think that's what the second part's going to be. My worry is DC has been very weird about their animated stuff recently. There's been some of their translations, like the Dark Knight Returns, where they did a 2-part of that, and it was beautifully done. It is one of my favorite translations they've done of a lot of their animated stuff, from who they cast for the voices, the way they handled it, the animation, just chef's kiss. There was little changes they had to do for production, but that's fine. I get it when you're translating it. But then there's other stories like Hush, which is one of my favorite Batman stories they completely ruined, as well as Gotham by Gaslight and some of the other ones where they decided we're going to take these very well-known stories, but we want it to be new, so we're going to do these drastic changes that completely break the story and the idea behind it. Which I don't even care to spoil this because they've already kind of ruined them, but like with Hush gets killed early. And it ends up being the Riddler doing stuff, which was a whole side character in the story, which just kind of breaks the point of Hush torturing Batman because of their childhood relationship with each other and going from there. And then Gotham by Gaslight, Jack the Ripper ends up being one of Thomas Wayne's Civil War surgeon friends who, was pining over Martha and killed them both out of jealousy because he wanted Martha but couldn't get her, so he killed them both, went over to the UK, became Jack the Ripper, and then came back and wanted to continue the murders, but then framed Bruce Wayne because Bruce Wayne reminded him of his mom. And that got completely thrown out the window. That guy's never mentioned, and they took Commissioner Gordon, was like, we're going to make him the murderer. I have never been so upset that I stopped a movie and was like, what the like I was so pissed because that's one of my favorite like Elseworld stories is Gotham by Gaslight. I absolutely love the art, the story, the take of it, and they just
I wonder if they're doing what Chris described to me once as like what they do with Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker, all the different mediums.
mm-hmm.
Because I love Justice League Doom. They didn't call it Tower of Babel,
But they did
called
a good
Doom.
job of translating that. Like I get translation, but these were changes that went so against the theme and idea of the story, taking characters that had particular uses or ones that were the catalyst and getting rid of them. It's like making a movie about the whole thing with Man-Bat and then not having Man-Bat.
Like I thought the Death and Return of Superman when they did that, it seems like they compressed it. They rushed things, and I was just like, I thought the fight was gonna last a lot longer, but they were like, no, he's dead. And he comes back and then all this stuff, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
All in one animated feature? Okay.
And that does happen sometimes when they convert them, which is why I was glad like The Dark Knight Returns was separated into two films, because it needs that breadth. And even then, like it trimmed out a few scenes here and there, but it gave you the details of it. So that's my only worry. Like Knightfall is such a good story. Like I have a really nice the new McFarlane figure of Azrael's Batman in the game room right now. I picked it up recently and I got the platinum edition of it, so it's the blue and gray version of the suit. I have the original toy that got released for him back in the old Legends of the Dark Knight toy line back in the late 90s, where it's the orange and black version of it, which I did find out McFarlane Toys has the orange and black version of the McFarlane one that I have. So I'm going to be picking that up here soon because I love the design of it, but I also like the fact that he became such an opposite to what Bruce wanted, that he just went mad and had no problem just killing people with, shuriken battering machine guns on his arms and flamethrowers and just losing his mind. I want to see that. I don't want that to change. Like watch them do something crazy like, oh, we're going to make Dick Grayson the new Batman anyways, but he loses his mind and starts killing people, which just feels wrong because Dick wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
That's my hesitation. Chris, please tell me I'm not sounding insane.
Well, there are. Okay. What Steve mentioned was with the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, when you
Yes.
think of the radio plays, the made-for-TV movie, and the Disney production,
Mhm.
they all have different plot lines. And
Yes.
part of that is so... the books as well. The part of the reason for that is so people don't know what's happening when they come in. And I think sometimes they do that because otherwise, if you know the whole thing, why are you going to come in and watch it?
I mean, that's the case for any adaptation for things, though, for certain stuff. Like, wasn't Adams aware of that? And that was part of his choice in the earlier versions, I think, like specifically the radio show.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that was his choice, which I get.
Mhm.
But, you're going in there with Ford and them in that show. If they completely changed how those characters were where instead of having, and I can't remember all the names, something Beetlebrock, the president with the two heads.
Zaphod.
I
Beetlebrox.
remember the last name at least. Like you're taking those characters and changing it. I get that, but they still have kind of the same themes for each person. They're still acting.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
With the BBC version, the TV movie, he was much more suave. Meanwhile, in the Disney production, he was basically a pastiche of George W. Bush. He was very dorky. So it really depends on what they were planning, and sometimes a little surprise isn't a bad thing. It's not necessarily what the fans want, but that's kind of a roll of the dice. If you are too faithful, then it's either boring or it's not done properly. If you're not faithful at all, then it's a failure. So I suppose there has to be compromise when moving from one medium to another.
And I get that, and I agree with that. Like you're always going to see that when moving from comics to TV show to movies to written just normal novels or things like that. There has to be some conversion. But I think when you're taking that story and changing certain things so much that it feels like it's a completely different thing of a complete offshoot, I think that's what throws me.
I
Like,
think it was because Hush was meant to be a mystery, and I figured the only way they could do that properly was by changing the outcome.
but see, then you have how they did the Long Halloween, which did change some things, but still kept the mystery because not everybody knows it. Like, yeah, I knew who the killer was and how that story went. I've loved the Long Halloween, and they did a really good job with converting that, where they did change a few things to keep different mysteries going, but they didn't drastically change it where it felt like it was a whole different story. Like it, I guess with Hush, it felt like we're doing a Batman mystery, which was fine, but you shouldn't have called it Hush. It should have been something else. Because if
Perhaps,
you're
perhaps.
expecting Hush, like if you recreate Star Wars and all of a sudden Han Solo becomes Darth Vader, you're just like, what the fuck? Like it's
I'm
such a
sure. I'm
weird.
sure there are Elseworlds comics where that has happened.
And I know there's been ones of Luke becoming Vader and stuff like that, which I get, but they're labeled as Elseworlds. But like if you're redoing or translating Star Wars itself, that's almost too much of a change. Like it just feels wrong. And I know it's probably
Perhaps.
me. I get it.
Well, I was just chiming in.
Oh no, I
So
love these discussions. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this.
All I know is I need to watch Batman versus Robin
Oh, that's
because
a good one.
the doll maker is voiced by Weird Al.
Yes, he is. And that's another one that they did change things, like with the Court of Owls and stuff like that. But they kept the theme of it and a lot of the stuff, and I did really enjoy them. So
He's also voiced the Riddler and Gentleman Ghost, but a lot of people agree that he so far he has been one of the best Riddlers. Like his voice fits.
I did recently see him in the most recent Naked Gun. Now that that's streaming on Paramount Plus, it's nice to see him show up in that. He was pretty funny. But yeah, there's a lot of the Batmans that I think are still worth watching, and I do wonder, like, if I have to take into account, and Chris will probably agree with this. There's a difference on I am familiar with the original work, so I'm going to have that different look at this translation of it versus if someone had never seen it and just watches Hush as a movie, that's a whole different experience to them. They have no pre-knowledge of any of this, so it could still be a good movie to them.
that's
And
true, but it also depends on whether they've seen any spoilers on the internet. And
that's true
that's
for
so
anything.
easy to do these days.
Because I know there's been times I've watched a movie and went, "Oh, that's really good," but my wife had read the book and she's just like, "I hated it because they changed this, this, and this."
Mm.
I was like, "Oh, I didn't even realize that because I've never read the book." And that could be the same way for some of these. And there's still people enjoying these regardless.
Mm.
I'm sure somebody watched Hush and liked it. And if you watched Gotham by Gaslight and liked it, I'm so sorry. I'm still going to argue that one's wrong. You just don't mess with Gordon that way. All right, let's move on to other stuff because I know we've been talking. All right, Star Trek Starfleet Academy has gotten a release date of airing on January 15th, 2026. And then we've also got the announcement that Stephen Colbert will have a cameo as the voice of the digital dean of students at the Academy. So that's been one of his dreams. He's always wanted to be in Star Trek. So now he gets to show up as a voice, as a fun little cameo. So good on him.
His acronym is DDoS.
I didn't even realize that. Now, this next one I really wanted to talk with you guys about because this kind of also goes to the preconception of things. And I want to kind of talk about it and then some of the confusion or view I'm having of it.
I just saw it pop up on my YouTube. I'm gonna have to watch it tonight.
It's interesting. Wonder Man got its first teaser and trailer. They basically released the teaser and the next day the full trailer. I'm very confused of what they're trying to do because you can't really tell, is he actually trying to be Wonder Man, which he is playing the character of it, but is he just an actor trying to remake an old movie version inside the MCU? And the reason I say that is kind of a weird meta take on superheroes. They're treating this as Wonder Man was an old series, looked like the 1960s or 70s in the MCU as it actually was. This is now a new director who was wanting to remake and bring it back, talking about superhero fatigue and things like that, which is, like I said, part of the meta commentary. And they're wanting to recast it, and they have the new actor coming in for Wonder Man. And they're wanting to kind of go from there and talk about it. But it never hints that he's actually going to or has any of the actual powers of Wonder Man. So I'm wondering if they're just sticking to it being strictly a movie in a movie as a, I think, an 8-episode TV show, which is fine. It just, maybe I don't quite get what they're trying to go with it. Like, is he going to actually be Wonder Man at all? Or are they just making it a movie that's there and Wonder Man does not exist as a character in the superhero group? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
Yeah. I walked right into that. God dang it. I want to see it. I'm intrigued. I have questions. That's my only thing.
Hey, that might be the point.
And that's a good point as well. I want to see it. It looks good. But I also just I used to read like West Coast Avengers and stuff as a kid. So I'm very familiar with Wonder Man. And I'm like, it's kind of weird if hopefully he's got the suit. They had an earlier version of the suit that did look like his old 1960s era suit during the clips and things, which I'm a bit concerned because it's come out that they did use AI to help make those for those segments, for all the like the lunch boxes and things that they show and the scenes where they're filming stuff is AI assisted.
So when Marvel said they're not using it, they had their fingers crossed behind their back.
Well, I think that's
probably meant Marvel Comics.
Right. I'm about to say that's the comic side saying we're not doing it. The movie side saying, okay. Because it looks very like, you ever seen those trailers that people put up on YouTube where it's like,
I hate those so much.
This series, but what if it was in the 50s or something like that? It looks very much like that. Like, you look at it, just like Jim Lee was talking about earlier, it looks wrong. You can immediately tell something is unnatural about it. But this series is going to be launching January 27th, 2026, with the whole series dropping in one day. So that might also be part of the mystery. They're just going to put it all out at once. I really want to hear you guys' thoughts on this once you watch the trailer.
I do worry when Disney just says, here's all of the Marvel series, because then it's like, did you have any faith in it?
Well, it got delayed because they were trying to change the schedule, so it got pushed back. It was supposed to launch, I think, in December. So they may just be trying to put it all out at once instead of it would have been spread out over the time.
Because like I don't know any of the spoilers or anything, but it seems like Alien Earth like went up to like the highest peak, and then the last episode everybody was like, that was shit. I'm like, whoa.
I really liked it, but it ended on a cliffhanger, and they have not officially announced that there's a season 2 yet. And I'm like, if we knew there was a season 2 coming, I'd be like, oh man, I can't wait for that. But I don't want this to be, oh, that was great, and we never get an answer. That's my worry. Just announce it.
That's all. Announced the Mortal Kombat 3 movie coming up.
I saw that.
Mortal Kombat 2 is not out yet.
Which that's fun. That's kind of funny for that one. But like Marvel Zombies, I really enjoyed Marvel Zombies. I got to watch that recently, but it also ends on a cliffhanger, and I'm like, can we get an announcement for season 2? Like, just can we know? At least with Peacemaker, it ended like that, and we know there's not a season 3. But he also said we know that this stuff is going to carry on to this other stuff. There will be resolution.
Just don't give us another Pirates of Darkwater ever again.
Right. That's a huge fear. I'm kind of glad I never got into that, because I would have been so pissed.
I was like, I'm going to see him get all the... Where's the rest of the treasures?
There's so many opportunities that they could go back and finish that in some form. Comic books, a new series, YouTube shorts, doesn't matter. Something.
We need another Super Mario Brothers movie. When Daisy showed up to Luigi, John Leguizamo was like, we got to go. And they're like, okay, second movie's coming. No, it's not. Nintendo said no.
That's all right. I learned that lesson very early when I watched my very first movie in theaters was Masters of the Universe. And at the very end, you see Skeletor, I'll be back. He did not come back. So I had to learn that lesson young. So yeah, January we'll find out about this, and probably next week, if you guys watch the trailers, we'll talk about this some more, because I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on it. I'm not against the show whatsoever. I want to see it, and I'm curious where it goes. I'm just kind of confused, and I think, like Chris said, that might be the point. They might be messing with this on purpose.
Can't be as messed up as Secret Invasion. So.
Good point. Yeah, this one seems a little more helpful. And I'm okay with a weird Marvel series. Like, I'm cool with that. So we'll see what happens. All right. We have a little bit of video game news. Spider-Man 2 finally got a release date for PC. It's coming January 30th of next year. So if you missed out on playing this on the PlayStation 5, you soon will be able to play it on PC. Which...
Here, it's out already.
What?
It says
2025. I was in a hurry. Oh, shut up. So we'll just change that to 2026. I almost put 2027. There. Now we got it right. So yeah, 2026 Spider-Man 2 is coming out for PC on Steam. No announcement for the Xbox version.
It's not February, because February's too stacked.
I mean, technically, I guess you can play this on the Xbox ROG Ally X. Just buy it on Steam and play it on there. It is an Xbox, it says. That's just being
Take
stupid.
that, Sony ponies.
Spider-Man 2 was fun. I think I enjoyed the first one more. The second one felt like it had so much stuff going on that it kind of got a little overwhelming, but it's still really fun. Gorgeous game. Minecraft Movie 2 is set for release July 23rd, 2027, to no one's surprise, because the first one made an unholy amount of money. And they're going to just burn this out for as long as they can. They're going to have movie releases until they don't sell as well, and then we're going to get direct to video and streaming, and
Chicken Jockey, the series,
right? Every little tie-in we can get till the
Bell's
end
gonna
of
have
time.
lava chicken. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I can see this being abused so badly. So I don't know. Did you guys ever watch the actual film?
I was busy washing my hair.
I will give it credit. The movie is funny. It's stupid, as it should be, but it is actually worth watching. We got some laughs out of it and enjoyed it.
There you go.
So give that a chance. Don't expect like anything intelligent, because this is not the movie for that. Logic goes out the window and it's just stupidity. So who knows? The last thing is Invincible Season 4 starts March 2026. They had a... Say what?
I need to catch up.
Yes. That's been a good one to enjoy. They have continued their traditional teasers with them sitting inside of like this little cafe where he'll talk to somebody and they talk about like when it's coming out or what's been going on, which gets kind of meta. I like how they've continued that now, because now you've got Invincible and Eve talking in a completely destroyed city where she has to keep reminding him not to eat the burger in front of him because it's old and rotten and everything's destroyed, and he keeps wanting to try and eat something. He's like, I'm just hungry. We're sitting here. So looking forward to that. I think we have the game coming out sometime, I think early
they just
next
announced
year.
Cecil today, a few days ago.
Yeah.
He's awesome because he basically can just summon other heroes to fight for him, but he does a lot of shooting with his own gun, and just if you put him against Omni-Man, he's just like, fuck you, Omni-Man. He's like, fuck you, Cecil.
There has to be a lot of teleportation in his gameplay, both in bringing people in.
So much, it's insane.
I was like, yeah.
Have you ever teleport heavy, but it's awesome.
Have you ever seen when they announced during one of the seasons of the show, they actually said how much it costs every time he teleports? So somebody went back season by season and calculated how much they spent just with his teleportation. I think it's more money than some countries produce. Like, it's ridiculous. And he just uses it willy-nilly. Like, he just teleports here and there for the hell of it. But especially with the fight with Omni-Man, or his distraction of Omni-Man in the first season, where he's just constantly blipping around before he can hit him. the numbers really cranked up there. So, all right, let's move on to our next little segment here. So we have a few games that may have leaked, weirdly. Assassin's Creed Shadows has apparently leaked for Switch 2 as a keycard release. No surprise. But this was from a French online store. And if this is fake, they've done a really good job making that case because it looks legit. No release date or cost. I might pick this one up digitally because I did enjoy Shadows. I'm curious how it runs on the Switch 2, but it just makes sense for it to be on there, you know? And then we also have hints at Silent Hill 2 Remake coming to both Xbox and Switch 2, because these were found mentioned in the website's code base, which talks about the two different systems. So that might eventually be coming out too. So yeah. I don't know. Would you guys play either of these on the Switch 2?
Yeah.
Was it Chris?
And I would have definitely played the next game we're going to talk about.
Yes, I would have as well. So let's just jump into that one. Was that the wrong button? So speaking of Ubisoft, they've been found to have canceled a possible Assassin's Creed title that would have been set after the Civil War, where you would have played as a former slave and would have faced off against the emerging KKK group, which would have been great because you would have just been constantly killing them off, which is fantastic. Ubisoft's leadership apparently canceled it with concerns for how the U.S. political climate, as well as the recent Yasuke from Shadows backlash, would have affected it.
This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because we have games like Mafia, The Old Country,
Mm-hmm.
and we have what do you call it? And we have movies that are super popular, like Django Unchained. So it's like, Ubisoft, you idiot.
Wasn't it like, I think Mafia 3, I think, was one of the ones that also dealt with that from like the 70s and stuff like that. But that also,
Yeah, so they've all dealt with it. So it's just like, the backlash you're going to get is not going to be anywhere near like, you know, the push and the sales for it. Because Shadows, I believe, was successful. So who cares what they thought about Yakuza? It's just like, don't let the smallest voices win just because they're saying like, I don't like this. I was just like, yeah, don't let that.
I would have bought it in a heartbeat, and I know a lot of people that would have as well. And I'm glad. I mean, I would rather see groups kind of push towards doing this stuff instead of shying away from it. Going back to comics, like, I'm not a giant fan of the Absolute Batman series. It's kind of an interesting take on the character and so forth, but they did show a recent cover that's coming out and parts of the comic where he just absolutely brutalizes a whole group of white supremacists, like just breaking bones, smashing their heads open, just going to town. And I'm like, yeah.
Somebody actually just did a small clip and they recreated Absolute Batman with Batman the Animated Series graphics.
Oh my god.
And the part towards the end where he throws a batarang and it knocks the guns out of the two gangsters' hand.
Just takes their hands.
Version, it just cuts off their arms. I loved it.
And like I said, I get that it's a different take on Batman, which is fine. It's not one I've really read too much for a lot of it, but I know some people
when I read
really
how
love
the
it.
villains were created, I was just like, that's really cool.
That is kind of neat. Like, I'm all for trying out different styles of things. That's fine with me. Not everyone's going to like every bit of it.
That's how we got the 2099 versions of anybody, is they wanted to try something new.
Yeah,
that's how you got Gotham by Gaslight. That's how you got Spider-Man Noir. It's just like, let them try these because sometimes they just click.
Yeah, I mean that's how we got Miles Morales for that Spider-Man during Ultimate Spider-Man. Like, it's, you know, for the Ultimate Universe, and that became a huge thing for them. But yeah, this Assassin's Creed covering that time period, I think would still be successful in some way, and just kind of a nice reminder that was a terrible part of the U.S. history, and we should still be fighting back against these things now. So
somebody call Tencent and be like, make them release it.
You know, I'm not a fan of the whole Ubisoft or Tencent buying them, but if it released this, okay, there'd be a good side to it, I guess.
You get a pass for now.
Right. I'll allow it. So, all right, let's go into our last little bit of news for this week. So, Crimson Collective, a hacking group, has claimed to have breached Nintendo's topic files by releasing screenshots of folders hinting at production assets, dev previews, and backups. Given the recent activities, they may be pushing to extort Nintendo with the threat of releasing the information because they had other companies and groups like Red Hat that they did similar activities with. They messaged them directly with these screenshots trying to extort them for money. So they're likely trying that with Nintendo, which good luck. And, kind of threatening to do that. But given what they have, they don't know if there's really anything major they could announce with it. This was more of a weaker, like outside website access for them, which might have like little previews or things as they prep for stuff, but probably not going to be major, announcements and things.
It's just that don't go after them because that usually pushes them to cancel what they're working on.
Yeah. Nintendo has not officially issued a statement or verified the claim of the hack as of recording.
So it's
this
like,
is
hey, Crimson, you don't get anything out of this except for game cancellation.
And being hunted down by some vicious lawyers.
The ninjas, yep.
Nintendo will come after your ass, and they will not hesitate. Especially if they find you, because they're doing what? The Reddit guys being...
Well, the Reddit guy it's a fun story because Nintendo contacted him and said, please take that down and we won't pursue anything. So they were like, you have one chance to please do the right thing. And he's like, no, what are you going to do? And they're like, 4.5 million is what we're going to do.
We warned you. We tried to warn you.
One of those things like you don't always cheer for the corporate side, but this one they're like, we warned you. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's more of a warning than some people get. So, oh man. All right, so let's jump over to the speed run. Starting off with what I was hoping would be better and apparently has turned to absolute shit, Tron Ares seems to have absolutely bombed by only grossing 14.3 million of the film's domestic opening day, bringing in less than Morbius did, which was an absolute bomb for Sony. Go ahead, Steven.
According to reports on social media like Blue Sky, one of the biggest reasons Ares is dying is because they basically disregarded everything from the second movie.
Which sucks because I really liked the second movie and wanted to see that story go.
It's like, why would you take that and then just say, who cares?
Because one of my interests in this, when they first announced it, like for the second film, I love that they had Daft Punk do the music. It fits so perfectly in that world. Having them actually show up in a cameo made sense. And then when I heard the announcement that the music for this one's being done by Nine Inch Nails and Trent Reznor, I was like, ooh, this could be kind of a cool take on that. And while I may still end up getting the soundtrack CD, I don't want to see the film because it looks...
Got the Jared Leto curse.
I didn't even care about Jared Leto being in there, honestly. It was just like, whatever, he's an actor. I don't always agree with everything going on, but it's just whatever. But I agree, like when they completely just threw out the old stuff, it's like, why are you making this? Like what? This isn't like a side story or whatever. Like it's directly tying to some of these characters while completely ignoring, like, why doesn't like Bridges like character even mention his son or any of these other people? Like it's just apparently completely ignored, like it never happened. And that just feels weird. So I don't know. Go play the Tron games. I think those are better for the over the decades.
The storylines in the Tron games are a lot better. Probably the only interaction I'm going to have with this is I'm probably going to get the popcorn bucket because it's an arcade machine.
Oh, that's kind of neat. On a side note, HasLabs from Hasbro actually announced an original Tron set that's coming out. I don't know the price on it yet, but they're really nice figures of all the main cast over in the cyber world of Tron, as well as really nice detailed models of the original bikes that can open up and be changed and have the traces and stuff. If it's not crazy expensive, I'm considering it, but it's kind of cool that you can get for that. But that's all based on the original 80s release of Tron. So go take a look. Next up, Sony has started letting users leave full-length reviews, just like on Steam, which I think is going to go so right and so wrong at the same time.
So far it's the web version only.
Okay.
But that means everybody can go on there right now and start port begging. Yes.
Oh God.
1 star on Spider-Man and say, bring it to Xbox. You know what to do, guys.
Do they at least mention if the person's review is like someone that played it or owns it?
No,
Because Steam does that. Like they'll tell
they
you,
just
like,
said it went. They just said it went live. No testing. It's just. I would have thought they'd put it as part of their beta, but since it's on the website, I was just like, guys, when you leave stuff on the website, that's how you get horrible Mountain Dew descriptions of flavors. That's how you get Bodie McBoatface as the name of the boat.
that was at least funny.
And that's how you get Rickrolled at Met Stadium. Don't do that. Don't release things on the internet. And leave it to fans to do stuff.
We should just go leave reviews on all their games pointing towards the show. We'll get right on that. Following up from that, Sony is also hinting at the PlayStation 6 after announcing some new tech details that they are working on alongside AMD, including a new GPU. Much of it is also hinted to be a good for a handheld. So maybe they're pushing for their rumored Switch style change up to their hardware.
And if you bought a PS5 Pro, you're an idiot. Because apparently it's going to release, like he said, in a few years. So at least you had 5 years with the PS4 Pro before they released the PS5.
Yeah, but if you have a PS5 Pro, apparently you can play the best version of Gears of War, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say.
That's true.
Of course, you can play it on PC and play it even better, so I'm going to stick to that.
Better Shadows.
That's Better Shadows. Oh, God. Vampire Survivors will be getting a new online co-op mode coming autumn 2025 for up to 4 players, which I hope we'll actually be playing eventually now that Chase has access to Steam. He might be able to get the game and we can all play together. These will be coming in the version 1.14 update, where they're releasing 1 bit of news out of 5. They're like flipping cards over for each one, but they're releasing 1 bit of information each week. So expect for the next couple of weeks, we'll be adding a new little bit of what they've announced if it's warranted.
And if you love Vampire Survivors and you wish it just looked a little bit different, do try Megabunk, which is like 3D Vampire Survivors.
Oh, interesting.
I had to say it a certain way or Chris gets mad.
Only if you say it incorrectly.
That's my job. And then lastly, after last week's discussion, Microsoft has come out stating that no, the Xbox is not giving up on developing new consoles. But they've also gone back on most of everything else they've said. So do we believe them? Who knows? I mean, even if they release a new console, will it get games, or we just expect all their releases to go straight to PlayStation or PC?
TV.
Oh, God.
I do have one more.
Yes, go for it.
For today.
Yeah.
And I sent it to Chris as well, and he says he didn't know if he was ready for this day. October 11th is a milestone in comedy history. Not only is it the 50th anniversary of the first Saturday Night Live, today is also the final new Dr. Demento show. After 55 years, Barrett Hansen is hanging up his top hat. If you go to drdemento.com right now, you can hear his all-time top 40 countdown special. But after today, he's done.
Damn. I remember as a kid, we didn't get him on the radio here locally, but when I'd be staying at my friend Patrick's house on occasion, if the weather was bad, like if we had storms and things, we could get a bounce and actually pick up radio from Tallahassee, and they had it. So that was the first time I ever got to hear the Dr. Demento show. And that was way back when I was a kid. But I remember it, like it stuck with me for the weird songs that were playing. That's the first time I heard like Star Trekkin' and Poisoning Pigeons in the Park and things like that. And I was glad on a recent trip in the last couple of months to find the CD of his favorites. So I have that to at least listen to, but I will definitely miss the idea of Dr. Demento being around. It's just such a key thing for comedy. And straight up the only reason we have Weird Al today. Like, yeah, that is sad. Chris, you got any thoughts on that one?
Same thing. I enjoyed his stuff. I wish that I was more into the radio show, but I was more into Weird Al than Dr. D. But still, we have to appreciate, what he's done, bringing comedy into daily life.
For sure. God, he's been doing it for a long time, though. I didn't realize it was that long. All right, so let's jump over to the big question for this week. So this week's question, with reviews around games, new remakes or remasters, do you feel that cost should be weighed in for a score about it if a game is worth getting as much as the actual content? I bring this up because of a recent review that I was listening to while I was at work, talking about the new Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2 bundle. And instead of talking about like how good the games are and the controls and things like that, it immediately went into how much it costs, how much they feel it should have cost, how that affects the score, why they're bringing it down, and a lot of things. And I wanted to talk with you guys about what your thoughts are and how cost should be addressed in reviews. So, Stephen, I'll start with you on that one.
I hate this practice with people. It started way back for me. My first time I heard it was Tetris Evolution.
Mhm.
IGN gave it a low review because they said it's too much to pay for Tetris because it was a physical CD DVD release. I would say that there's yes and no, and why I say that is because when you have something like Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, I feel more that you shouldn't just weigh in the cost. You should weigh in whether new features are added or if it's just dumped on there.
Right.
Because then you can say, okay, I got it on the Wii for $20, and then the same game with no enhancements and no quality of life improvements got dumped on the Switch 2 for more money. Then I could see them at least mentioning that in the review, saying there's nothing to add to this.
I think the closest example would be like, speaking of Wii, the Super Mario All Stars edition. It was literally just a ROM on a disc.
So it's like, yeah, when you have those and you just say they're new, if you're gonna do a collection and not add anything, the collection's got to be big. It's got to be at least be like 10 games, a dozen games, something like that. Like the Atari Flashbacks collections, those are fine the way they are.
Right.
They can charge whatever they want for that because there's a bunch of games on there. It happened with Midway Arcade Treasures. People bought those all they could because it had a bunch of games on there. So yeah, I feel sometimes when there's like nothing done to it and it's just a cash grab, you should probably put that in there. But when there's actual improvements done, and I mean anything from resolution to frame rate to quality of life to added functionality to even added modes, no, don't put price in on that aspect because then the teams have actually put in the work to improve something. They haven't just said, here's the same thing again. Because Doom released at a really good price for digital,
Mhm.
and those deals just got better for no reason. We got the mods, we got multiplayer, we got co-op, we got like more episodes, we got them put together. It's just like hearing that, and like even Expedition 33 right now, they said to celebrate 5 million sold, they're going to release free DLC that adds new things to do and new places to go. And I was just like, I'm so happy I own this game. So sometimes you get people like that who just like make it that it's really worth it. But are you going to go back and change the review score now, saying like they're releasing free DLC that has a new continent or something? So now this game gets a higher number. So if you're not going to do that, then don't start out with this is a bad value, because eventually it's going to go on sale. Almost everything that I've liked now has gone on sale in some aspect.
Mhm.
And some of these games even launch at a 10% discount, and the reviews don't even care to mention that. It's like that there is like kind of like an early adopter purchase deal and stuff like that. So no, I think for the most part cost should not be weighted at all.
Okay. Chris, what about you? What's your thoughts on this?
I think if the cost is exorbitant enough, or if there are options to get the same game at a cheaper price elsewhere, the cost should be mentioned. Especially if, let's say, it's a new game and the standard version without any DLC, the non-collector's version, is more than your standard game elsewhere. So, You know, a lot of people, like as an example, we have two separate points with The Outer Worlds 2 and a first-party Switch 2 game like Donkey Kong Bonanza. Both cost more than usual, but people did a lot of backlash against The Outer Worlds 2, and that was taken care of. Nothing happened with Donkey Kong, they just bought it, and now we have DLC. So it really is an up in the air kind of thing. The best thing to do is just to, make the choices for yourself, but you should know if it's something that's not usually happening.
Yeah, because I hate it when they, like he said, I hated it when they review DLC low because their reasoning is it should have been with the main game. Like, review it on its own merits. Don't be like, I feel it should have been with this original. It should have been complete. So by releasing this DLC, I gave it a low score. It's like, why?
Yeah, I've seen I've seen some places do reviews, and I like how they'll do the general review talking about it, and then once they give it its score and they're done, they'll let whoever's doing the video version or whatever have their say on it and be like, "Hey, I'm just adding this in. This is how I feel about it." But they differentiate it. Like they say, "Okay, this is my opinion on this part," and if they feel that's something they want to mention. But so for in regards to the question itself, I don't think cost needs to be part of an actual review of a game, because cost is going to be so subjective depending on who you are, what your situation is, how long has it been since this review came out. You might look at a game and go, well, this is too expensive on something. Some people were complaining and saying that like a game releasing at $20 is too much and it should be cheaper, or you've got those people that go so far as free, and it's like, okay, at what point is it low enough? Like you're going to have those people arguing for it, but the cost of a game doesn't affect the actual gameplay, and that's what reviews I think should be about. How is it running? How does it control? How does it look? How does it sound? Things like that. And I agree, if it's like an exorbitant amount of money extra, you could probably mention it, but I don't think that should actually affect the score of how the game is itself, because you might get that at a discount later. Like you were talking about, Stephen, like it could go on sale somewhere, or some kind of thing can happen with that. And you don't want to see a game like, oh, I'm not going to consider it. It got this low of a score, without actually knowing the context. So they just thought it was too much at the time. But now that it's cheaper, they would have given it a higher score. That kind of throws it off when you see that. Because a lot of people are guilty of just looking and going, well, this got a 6 out of 10 or whatever. They won't read the reasons. And while there may be legitimate reasons in there, that might also be, like I saw with the Mario one, they just thought it was too expensive because they felt each game should have only been $20, and that you should have gotten the entire set for like $35, and that should have been it. And it's like, that is unreasonable.
And you have the problems with what do you call it? That are you going to then score physical versus digital? Because Yuka Replay Ye is 29 digital, it's 49 physical. And they also said for 29 digital, if you owned it before they did this update, they gave you 30% off the new version because it's not upgradable. But they said, because if you basically supported us in the beginning, we're going to give you a heavy discount here. Another situation I would tell people sometimes is like with limited run games, they had one game called Postal Redux.
Yep.
And that game's like $35 now. But on the eShop, it's 50 cents. So are you going to review it that it's a 10 out of 10 digitally, but it's like a 2 out of 10 because it's $35 physically? So you have things like that come up too.
Yeah, because the cost differential of physical versus digital, a lot of people never take into account. Like, so Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, you can buy them digitally, individually for $40. But if you buy them together, it's $70, which is technically saving $10 if you bought them separately, because it would be, $80 at that point. And they're thinking that the physical should be the same, which actually is. Nintendo's still pricing it the same as that. But there are other ones like you talked about where physical, because it's extra manufacturing and things like that, you do pay that physical tax basically, because they have to ship it, they have to store it, they have to have storefronts for it. that all costs money. Digital is just server space. They download it. There's no limit to it. If they need more, they just sell more. They don't have to produce them. So, like I said, the whole idea of cost being part of review, you have to be very careful with that. Not make it your focus. Otherwise, that's just going to side rail the whole conversation.
I will say that there's an exception to the rule, and
Yeah.
it's not with games, it's with hardware.
Yeah. Because, yeah, with hardware, you have to actually, that's your entry point to all of it. And this has been a weird generation because normally everything gets cheaper. And this is the first time we've ever had it where everything gets more expensive. Every system costs more now than it did at launch.
I watched the video where people were like laughing at like the Switch 2's price and complaining. But then in the YouTube video, he was defending Switch 2, and he's just like, you guys may have complained about it in the beginning, but then when you saw what Legion Go 2 was going to cost, when that was like almost $1,300,
yeah,
you saw the Xbox Rogue Ally, and you saw one of the other portables, you're just like, that looks really good now.
Because the Switch 2 has proven to be, and I think Nintendo was smart when they had to raise the price because of tariffs and things. They did it to accessories, and then they stuck some of it to the original Switch because they're trying not to raise the Switch 2. They want to keep it at an affordable point because it is selling like crazy right now. And I have been using it a lot. I'm still playing like Star Wars Outlaws on there and everything like that. But back to the actual, conversation point with this. I don't know. I think whenever people dive into cost as the main part of the review conversation, that's what concerns me. I think for a lot of it, it makes me hesitant to kind of listen to all of it because I have to then go back and look, how old is this review? What's going on at the time? What were they saying it was worth at that point? And a cost I feel comfortable paying for something doesn't mean the same of what you're comfortable paying or Chris is comfortable paying. These Transformers, for instance, like these things here. Yeah, I got the 2 of them and it cost me $100. There's a lot of people that be like, that is way too much money. I would not pay that. I'll pay $20 for each or something, which good luck. You're not going to get that for these. But for me, it was worth paying that money. But the cost was not the reason of how much I like these and enjoy them. It's how they're made, the quality of them, things like that come into play.
Word of mouth is a lot more powerful now because you have something like, even like Ninja Gaiden Ragebound was not frame rate parity with the other versions.
Mm-hmm.
And then they released a 60 FPS patch for Switch 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So it's like things like that. It's like it can be improved.
Games evolve in a weird way these days, both in cost and features and so forth, that makes physical a little harder to do. And I think also makes the value of the cost that much harder. So like right now, if somebody looks and said, like, I know you don't like No Man's Sky, but No Man's Sky is like $60 still. And if you look at it now and someone's like, well, that's $60, you should not get that because it's years old. It should be $10, $15 at this point. You shouldn't be paying that full amount.
And they did offer it at that price even on Switch.
Yeah.
With the free upgrade. So.
But then you take into account, yeah, you're paying $60 for this, but you have more DLC and expansions offered without a single dime extra than most games I've ever seen. Like it's such a drastic change for what they've done across multiple systems that I'm almost feeling like I need to buy them on each one just as a thank you for playing all this. So cost is such a different view on that point. So, all right, I think that's probably going to wrap us up for tonight. So let me, that's the wrong one. All right, well, I think we've had a pretty good show tonight. We'll probably have more updates on Comic-Con information and other stuff next week. Next week will probably be a little bit of a shorter show because I'm going to be going to Nintendo World finally. So next week you won't hear about it, but the week after we'll be skipping a week because I'm going to still be traveling at that point. But then the following week, I'll come back and give my thoughts on actually getting to visit it, what kind of stuff I've actually managed to find, what I could find for Steven and everybody that they wanted me to pick up for him Peach-wise.
Every time.
Right. So many things. But beyond that, I think that's about it for episode 192 Thank you again. Feel free to leave us a like if you're watching the video version. Leave us a comment. That helps us out a lot. Review wherever you listen to the podcast as well. And, well, we're out. Peace.
Keep calm and game on.
You mother... This has been a production of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast by the staff at Zenspath.com. The show is created and edited by Jeremy Powers. You can find the video edition of the show on our YouTube channel at ZenspathCom. The audio edition is located wherever you find your podcasts. Links to all versions of the show, as well as to our Discord where you can talk with us directly, is located at www.zenspath.com. Please leave us a like, thumbs up, comment, and review where you can to help us grow.